I did forget to send my brother a birthday card. How would they know that? I didn't do anything for Earth Day. I mean, I am a good person, right?
We don't know why eHarmony has rejected over 1 million people looking for love. At Chemistry.com, come as you are. With your first 5 chemistry-inspired matches are free. Join Chemistry.com today.
Air America Radio. Real facts in a filtered world.
With even more intensity. Politics and culture.
We need them. I believe that they did succeed.
Very interesting things to say.
I can't imagine divine intervention. We're not insane.
Oh, no.
Be prepared.
So we say, That's the kind of thing we have to do.
Air America Radio.
For the past 20 years, people have been obsessed with the pursuit of overpriced luxury cars. Thank God those days are over. Finally, I can loosen my tie and have some fun. Because today, I'm free to tell you about cars that are fun to drive from Mitsubishi. In particular, the Mitsubishi Lancer with a MyTech engine under the hood and sharp nose styling up front. Not to mention, a navigation system ranked highest in customer satisfaction with factory-installed navigation systems by J.D. Power & Associates. And now, with $1,500 cash back, you can get a Lancer starting at around $13,000. That's a phrase I have never said in my entire career. The Mitsubishi Lancer, it's different for a reason. Now get $1,500 cash back or 0% APR for 60 months on a 2009 Lancer at your Mitsubishi dealer. For details, call 1-888-MITSU-2009 or log on to MitsubishiCars.com. For J.D. Power and Associates award information, go to jdpower.com.
To say thanks for making Subway footlongs famous, get any piled high regular footlong for just $5. $5 footlongs. Hurry, a celebration this great won't last long.
Wachovia is now part of Wells Fargo. We're now one team that's nationwide and twice as strong. With even more capabilities, more resources, and more solutions planned for the future. So while it's business as usual today, you can look forward to even more great things ahead. Wachovia and Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show, ranked in Arizona as the Valley's #1 progressive talk show, and Man of the Year as listed in Talkers Magazine. You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show, and that just makes you look good. 1480 KPHX.
Welcome back. You know, whenever you have legislators who are actually on the floor creating an issue, you know, they're introducing legislation. It's called a birther bill that would require future presidential candidates to provide the original copy of their birth certificate. You got problems in this country. You know, this is all about more of this divide and conquer that I always talk about with Republicans. You know, this is just all about division. And if you have learned nothing from the Republicans in their past majority years, you know, 12 years they had in the House, 8 years they had in the presidency, the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court. If you haven't learned how unbelievably nefarious they are, they got Dan Rather fired over forged documents. Dan Rather was in the newspaper Wednesday. He just, you know, he filed a lawsuit against CBS, and he was originally told that he couldn't sue, and now he's just won the right to the documents that they used, and you know, he was told now to go ahead and proceed with his case. This thing isn't over, you know. And of course, Republicans always try to use a tire around somebody's neck to try and destroy them, and it's got to do a lot with forged documents. I mean, you think about, we went to war based on a forged document from Niger. Remember that? The transfer of uranium from Niger. So then they destroyed Dan's Rather career over what they claim was a forged document. Now they're trying to destroy the president of what they say is a forged document. I mean, these people don't know many tricks. So whenever you see the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you hear people, you know, calling into this show who actually think, they actually believe that this man is not a legitimate president, when you have a major in the U.S. Army who's saying, I don't want to deploy to Afghanistan. I don't want to fight under this commander-in-chief because he's not an American. And when you have a guy who goes to the Holocaust Museum, James von Braun, who shoots people dead in the middle of the day in Washington, D.C., because he says that he believed that Obama didn't have a legitimate birth certificate and wasn't the rightful president of the United States, then don't tell me that this isn't something that needs to be talked about. And people need to be nipped in the butt, and people need to be relieved of this notion that we have an illegitimate president. Sierra Vista, Arizona, welcome to the show.
Hey, are you checking anywhere else besides factcheck.org?
Yeah, if you go to whitehouse.gov, he's also put a certified copy of his birth certificate on there, as well as his application for his passport. I mean, everything is there. Come on, his mother is a U.S. citizen. He is a U.S. citizen. Enough of this. Enough. This is absolutely ludicrous that people are having this discussion.
It doesn't seem a little bit important, enough important that you would want to check more than just a little photograph online?
It's not a photograph online. Vivica Novak, who works for the Annenberg Policy Institute, had held his birth certificate. She photographed herself holding his freaking birth certificate. He put it on the White House website, for God's sake, so you could see it. What do you want? You want everybody to get it passed around the country? So, 350 million people can touch the birth certificate?
It's just funny that you keep calling it a birth certificate when you know it's a short form, and even his sister...
That's what I have. All I have is my short form. I had to get a passport, and that's all I have is my short form.
And that's all his sister has, but the problem is she was born in Jakarta.
Yeah, but it doesn't say she was born in the United States.
She was born in Jakarta, and I don't know if I would recommend your
really, enough of this.
2000.
And that's not exactly the Annenberg Policy Institute now, is it? No. It's some wacko website. Amber, play cut 3 for me. I mean, I don't think this is going to matter to him. It probably won't convince him, but, play cut 3 for me. This is Vivica Novak from factcheck.org, which is the Annenberg Policy Institute. Go ahead.
I can tell you this. You can end all this real quick if you're Barack Obama, and you go out there and you have your press secretary walk out there and just hold up a picture of it or show it, and it's done. And why they haven't done this and allowed this to build and grow is beyond me.
But actually, you could make the argument that they have. And we have a witness here in Vivica who will take us through this. Because when the question was first raised, members of the media, including factcheck.org, went there, they were presented the certificate, they were presented the documents, they interviewed the people in Hawaii who knew about this, and they told them irrefutably that, in fact, this is all legitimate, that he is a resident and was born in Hawaii. Is that not true, Vivica?
That's absolutely right. We had 2 staff members in Chicago in August at Barack Obama's campaign headquarters, and they saw the birth certificate, they handled it, they held it, they took pictures of it. We posted them on our website. We even did it with shadows so you can see the raised seal.
I don't know what it's going to take. The document is a certificate of birth, also known as a short form birth certificate. That's what I have too. The long form is drawn up by the hospital. It includes additional information about the child, like the birth weight. It has the parents' hometowns. The short form is printed from the state and is drawn from a database. The Hawaii Department of Health's birth record request form doesn't even give you the option to request a copy of your long-form birth certificate. But their short form is acceptable to the State Department, which is what he used to get his passport. Same story as me. I can't get a copy of my original birth certificate because the state of Texas only gives me the short form, which is exactly what I used to get my passport. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Plus, his mother is a citizen, hence, so is he. What is going on with people? We are in a recession. We're trying to get things done, and people in Congress are sitting there. People in our government are getting on the floor, taking issue with if Obama is a citizen of this country or not. They stand up there and ask these questions and bring this topic up in discussion now, and then all the other people sitting there listening to this wacko up there all stand and start reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not children of the corn, it's children of the freaking Congress. What the hell is going on? Are there not more important things that we need to be talking about and getting done? Why is this an issue? He never would have been inaugurated if he was not a U.S. citizen. It's a requirement to become the president. You have to be a citizen. Guess what? Obama's the president. He's a citizen. His mother, a citizen. This is just ridiculous that these Republicans are going to sit there and waste time on this crap to throw this kind of crap out and scare people and confuse people and bring more hate and divide into this country. This country needs to be unified, not divided by this crap. We got more news on Prop 8 in California, and then what is being said in Washington about this topic of gay marriage and equal rights. Obama had some words to say. We'll take a couple of your calls on this issue, equality and gay marriage, when we return. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Josh Fourrier, kicking Republican ass one day at a time. You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show on the Valley's Progressive Talk, 1480 KPHX.
The moment you realized you could be your own boss was big. Now comes another moment. The economy has changed and you need guidance. At Wells Fargo, we're with you when you need someone by your side. With our free business financial review, we'll evaluate your banking needs to help ensure that you have the right tools in place so you can keep doing what you love. We are a small business financial leader, so rest assured that we can help you. Call, click, or stop by and talk with a Wells Fargo banker today. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
There's no brainwashed diddleheads here. We're progressive. We're thinkers. We're truth. We're facts. We're Americans. We are Josh Fourrier. You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show, and we'll be right back after this Air America News Update.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is upbeat about the prospects for a House vote on a health care reform bill next week. Pelosi and a leading conservative Democrat both say they're making progress, but Congressman Mike Ross adds we have a long way to go. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says he will vote for Supreme Court nominee Sonia Sotomayor. Graham calls her a well-qualified jurist. He adds that her mainstream record shows that her out-of-court statements on race and gender do not drive her decisions on the bench. An already deadly month for U.S. troops in Afghanistan has now seen the deaths of 2 more troops in southern Afghanistan. They were killed by a bomb blast, but the military is releasing no other information on the deaths. The U.S. death toll for July now stands at 34, making it the deadliest month yet in the almost 8-year war.
Air America Radio.
Josh Fourrier. The Josh Fourrier Show.
Before the break, we were talking about a story that has been in the news, basically regarding what happened with Prop 8, the Obama administration, gay marriage, basically this whole realm of the progression on gay marriage and where it's going. We have a couple callers on the line. Let's go ahead and go to Jay in Sun City, Arizona. Jay, welcome to the show.
Being a black person, well, why would I support Prop 8? Number one, it's not a civil rights issue. Number two, to support gay marriage requires a pretty healthy amount of inconsistency. But I'm going to give you a chance to convince me here. Tell me what I'm missing here. If I say that gay marriage is not equal to heterosexual marriage, because my reasoning on it, which you probably already know, then if you say it is equal, then because they're consenting adults, then how do we then get to exclude stepfathers from marrying stepdaughters? Are they not also consenting adults? Who are we to tell them that they can't do that? Where do we draw the line is my question.
Well, I don't think that we prohibit stepdaughters and stepfathers for getting married, so that's your first false premise. The other one is you said, number one, it's not a civil rights issue, and then you just moved on. It is a civil rights issue. It's absolutely a civil rights issue. It's a constitutional issue. It's equal protection under the law. It means I am an American. I am entitled to every civil right that is extended to somebody of a different sexual orientation. We don't discriminate based on sexual orientation in this country. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I can understand that in employment. Nobody's saying that should be the case. I can understand that in college admission. Nobody's saying that should be the case. But as far as this, I don't have a problem with civil unions. If you want to have civil unions, I've always felt there should be some intermediate place between single and married.
Wait. Hold on. I have some questions to ask you before we continue. What is it that makes you, A, gloss over that this is not a civil rights issue, and B, how did you get there? I mean, how did you decide that it was not a civil rights issue?
Because in order for something to be declared a civil rights issue, you have to be able to show where somehow your life is being impacted in a negative way as opposed to someone else.
Now, if two people are in love, and they want to get married, and they want to raise children, then why...
What I'm saying is, hands off my marriage. If you want the same
Nobody
thing,
why
isn't having a civil union is not satisfactory? I don't understand.
Well, why can't it be marriage?
Because that was established between men and women who are able...
Who established that?
I guess it depends on how you believe we got here.
No, it doesn't depend on how I think we got here. It has nothing to do with how I think we got here. Some people get married by Elvis impersonators. Should two gay people be able to get married by an Elvis impersonator? Or is this really just all about church?
You keep using the word married. There's the point right there. What you're referring to is a union between two people that will give them right, civil property.
Well, I am talking about marriage, and I want to know why you won't, why marriage is so offensive to you. I mean, it's such a sacred trust. If it's so sanctified by a God, then why are you, then you're going to have to explain two things. Why is divorce allowed if God wants it this way? And why is it okay for the government to step in whenever it's time to get a divorce? And why do you have to go to court to get a divorce? So obviously it's not a church thing, it's a government thing. Because you can't get divorced without going to a court. And if you were to allow gay marriage in an Elvis chapel in Vegas, then we're all good.
Well, first of all, notice I didn't bring up church. I didn't bring up religion. I thought you were going to be making...
You told me that I could guess where your information was coming from, so I guessed.
I thought you were going to be implying this from a social perspective for me. I'm not a religious person. I don't have a religious belief.
Okay, so then you asked me to guess where it's coming from. I guessed wrong, so where is it coming from?
Well, you know what? If there's that, then I need to become a religious person. That's the way I see it.
Now, you're totally not understanding a word that I'm asking you. You said guess where my opinion is coming from. I guessed it was coming from a religious background. So then you said that's not where it came from. So now I'm asking you, where does your decision that it's not a civil right, getting married, and yet if you want to get divorced, you have to go to court. Obviously, this has to do with government work. Why have you decided that the government shouldn't extend the same civil rights to somebody of a different sexual orientation than you?
Because men and women in that union have a physical and social ability that homosexual unions cannot and will not ever have.
And what is that?
Well, number one, of course, barring any type of medical or physical abnormality.
Yeah, but you know how insulting that is? Do you know how insulting what you are suggesting actually is to people? Are you thinking about that? There's women that can't procreate, so they're in some special category with you and your law, your rules about this?
That's why I threw in there and said, unless there's some sort of medical disability. But here's the point.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that some disabled woman can marry a man only, and that's okay in your world, but you want to be able to make the judgment that a disabled woman can't have a marriage
what you're describing.
Let me finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. You're saying that disabled women should have some exception because they are medically disabled and unable to procreate. So therefore, those marriages were okay. But under your rules, marriage is for procreation.
No, I said that's one reason. The other one is social.
Huh. So, okay. So if two men wanted to have a unified household with two parents so that, you know, when one was out working, the other could be home cooking dinner, when one was taking little daughter Jessica to, you know, soccer practice, the other one could be at a parent-teacher conference, you know, whatever, or when one person gets sick and the other partner in the relationship is there taking care of them 24/7, making sure they get showered, making sure they get food, making sure that he can make it to his doctor's appointment on time. That is not legitimate to you? That's not a legitimate social family?
Oh, well, I love you. You'll forgive me if I kind of avoid that when I understand the circumstances.
Well, because now it's personal. And guess what?
So does that include
And guess what? Marriage is personal. And everybody who is an American ought to be able to make the decision about who they want to marry, because most people can't control who they fall in love with.
So does that include brothers and sisters?
No, because
You're discriminating against them.
Well, no, see, this is under your law. Your law says that marriage is for procreation. Brothers and sisters can't procreate.
They're two grown adults who are making a decision. You can't control who you fall in love with. Well, if a brother and sister fell in love, how can we tell them that their love's not legitimate?
Because if a brother and a sister fell in love, there would be some deep psychological problem there. But you are born gay. Just as you were born a black man with your skin color, you're also born gay. They're not. You're saying that marrying your brother is a choice and that it's equal to being gay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's where at the base of all your decision making and opinion there is a problem with misinformation. It's Jay. I need to say this and then I'm going to go, okay?
Sure.
Okay, you can't make good decisions when your foundation of fact is based on false information. All of your comments where, you know, you thought them through but based on a false fact as a premise led to all of this for you. The fact that you have to grapple with, the fact that you have to wrap your brain around, is that people are born with their sexual orientation, and that's it.
I agree.
Okay.
You still didn't refute my argument. But
I did refute your argument, Jay, but you don't understand it because you're thinking about everything on some false fact that is a choice to be gay, but it's not. And it is though a choice to fall in love with your brother. It's a choice.
We disagree on that.
How many brothers and sisters have you ever seen fall in love and declare that they need to get married, Jay? How often has that crossed your path? And yet, if you walk out into society today, 1 in 10 people that you interact with, policemen, firemen, hairdressers, flight attendants, grocery store clerks, garbage men, lawyers, accountants, and political radio talk show hosts are gay, Jay. They didn't choose to have a different sexual orientation than you.
I disagree.
Well, you told me you agreed, and now you disagree.
Disagreement on whether or not it's a choice or not.
But it's science, and there is no fundamental disagreement to be had at this point.
We have a fundamental disagreement.
But we can't, because you're ignoring science.
I feel that you're ignoring it because there's plenty of science that says it's a choice, and there are plenty of people.
There is no science. There is no science that says it's a choice to be gay.
How about the people who used to be gay and aren't gay anymore? What happened to them?
There are people out there that are absolutely in denial of who they are. I mean, just look at Larry Craig. This is a man in ridiculous amounts of denial about who he is and what his orientation is.
Well, I know people who used to be gay and no longer
You don't
are.
know anybody that used to be gay and isn't.
I know.
You don't know anybody that used to be gay and
I know
isn't.
3 people who used to be gay.
You don't know anybody that used to be gay.
3 people who used to be gay.
You don't know anybody. I'm telling you, you don't.
I know 3 of them.
You don't.
I know 3 of them. I'm sorry.
Jay, you don't know 3 people who were born gay and aren't gay currently. What you might know is 3 people who are in deep, deep denial about who they are because society does nothing but tell you that being gay is abnormal and wrong, and that's why, for example, Larry Craig is going into restrooms having gay sex because he is publicly denying who he is and has to creep off into some freaking bathroom because he's so messed up.
Then how can you say that then in all gay people not be in some form of denial?
Because gay people are born gay. You're talking to a gay guy right now. I'm telling you, people are born gay. I should know. And to say that you're born gay and to now say, oh, well, I'm not gay anymore, is absolute denial.
Okay, well, like I say, it still doesn't preclude that if there's 2 consenting adults, you're discriminating against one group and saying it's not okay to discriminate against another.
I am not saying, look, there is no group in this country of brothers who want to marry their sisters. There is no group. NAMBLA is not brothers and sisters. NAMBLA are pedophiles.
There have been 3.
All right, Jay, I'm done with you now. I can't do this anymore. This is really personal for me, and you're bye. All right, he has a huge problem with sexuality and issues around sexuality. He's got problems with orientation issues. He has problems with denial issues. Therefore, everything that he is arguing is based on a false foundation of untruth. And that's how people get to where they vote against civil rights. You've just experienced it right here on this show. And the problem is that the very foundation of this thinking is he believes that there is enough science out there to support his claim that people aren't born with a sexual orientation. He thinks that people wake up in the morning and decide that they're going to be gay. Hey, Jay, do me a favor. Can you wake up tomorrow and try the gay thing for me for a day? Just a day. I mean, after all, it is a choice, right? So tomorrow when you wake up, I want you to be gay for just one day. I bet you won't be able to do it. I sure as hell know I couldn't wake up tomorrow and be straight, even though we all know it would be 100 times easier if I could, right? I mean, I could go out to dinner with my partner. I could hold hands without getting looks from people. We could kiss in public and not get glared at by Bible thumpers. We could walk down the street with our arms around each other, just like every couple should be able to do, without being judged. It would be so much easier for me. But I sure as hell couldn't ever do it. You sure as hell aren't going to be able to do it either. And do you know why? Because the act is not the sexuality. The act is not the orientation. The act is flirting. The act is not the orientation. You are either born heterosexual, homosexual, transgendered, meaning you were born a female, but your parts say something else. You were born a male, but your parts say something else. That's nature. That's science. That's the way it works. That's how it is. Those are the facts. Take those facts and form new educated thoughts. Come to a new opinion based on real facts. Not your delusion that there are brothers and sisters who want to get married and that their civil rights need to be protected. That would be a choice, Jay, which I've explained to you. A choice. Being gay is not. There is a choice that people make to associate themselves sexually with farm animals. It is still a choice. Until the day I can see a horse who can understand and sign a contract of marriage, it's a choice. Their civil rights do not need to be protected for their choice. Orientation, science, not a choice. Choosing to marry your brother, your sister, a cow, a sheep, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, it's a choice. You're choosing to marry that person. You're not choosing a gender, you're choosing a person.
Air America Radio.
People could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance by switching to Geico. It says here, new customers report average annual savings of over $500.
Easy money.
Easy money. You do have to go to Geico.com.
Which is like what? Asking you to stand up. Hello, Ned. You know, if you stand up, you can save loads of money. I doubt you're going to be like, no thanks, I'm so rich, I think I'll keep my seat.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Air America Radio. Real facts in a filtered world.
Even more intensity. Politics and culture.
We need them. I believe that they did succeed.
Very interesting things to say.
I can't imagine. Divine intervention. We're not insane.
Oh, no.
Be prepared.
So we say,
That's the kind of thing we have to do.
Air America Radio.
This is the time it counts.
Corn nuts, an intensely crunchy corn snack, comes in 7 nut-busting flavors. Bust a nut at a convenience store near you.
Okay, people, listen up. We've saved the whales and stopped deforestation. So now we must think of a new cause. What else can we free?
Free Willy.
Free tacos.
I like it.
Oh, free TiVo.
Why would we do that?
Because TiVo is the best way to watch TV. It automatically finds and records all your favorite shows every time they're on. And recording was just the beginning. TiVo does so much more.
Yeah, but tacos are delicious.
True, but tacos can't schedule recordings from work. And only TiVo can transfer shows to your laptop, so you can take your shows to go.
You can take tacos with you.
Oh, enough with the tacos! Free TiVo! Free TiVo!
Free TiVo! Free TiVo!
The people have spoken. Free TiVo it is.
TiVo is now free for a very limited time after mail-in rebate and service commitment. Now available at Best Buy, Circuit City, and Radio Shack. See TiVo.com for details. It's not TiVo unless it's a TiVo.
Josh Fourrier. The Josh Fourrier Show.
I received an email saying, basically, Josh, you watch and listen to the Glenn Beck show on Fox News and on his radio program. The gentleman that sent me this email asked me to take a look at this video that's on YouTube. It's a clip from a caller that he had on his radio show. Now, when I had talked about Glenn Beck in the past, I had always joked around because he's so out there. He's so, extreme right-wing. I always joked around about him being crazy, that, he's kind of cuckoo, Well, I got this clip forwarded to me. I had my producer Amber verify that it was actually legit, because this clip is just so. It makes me uncomfortable listening to it. I mean, that's how kind of creepy and just psychotic it turns. Let me set this up for you. He's doing a show, he's ranting and raving, and then he wants to take a caller regarding the whole healthcare issue. So the caller is trying to have, a civilized adult conversation, maybe a back and forth debate on healthcare, nationalizing healthcare. But Glenn just, he was questioned on his philosophies and absolutely loses it, as most Republicans do. They say, oh, well, we believe, abortion should be completely illegal. But then you give them the scenarios. Well, what if the woman's, a 12-year-old rape victim? Shouldn't abortion be an exception for that? And they crumble, they fall, they're destroyed. And that's how it goes with a lot of issues with Republicans, where they're trying to limit people's choices and freedoms. Whenever you turn around and you question them and you say, well, how can you make this a law coast to coast in this country? This is supposed to be a free country. We're supposed to, not have this type of control from our government and laws. And you question them, and there's nothing to sustain their views. There's nothing to back them up. So as soon as you question one of their philosophies, they fall apart, which, as a radio show, I mean, I have been told at times that I get a little too upset at people, but at the same time, you'll see what I mean. You'll see. I never once, at my most extreme moment of anger, never once have I talked to anybody like this. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Let me go to Kathy in Massachusetts, which is having a great time with that universal health care from Mitt Romney, a Republican. Hi, Kathy. Go ahead.
Hi, Kath. Yeah, that's right, Glenn. I think you better pick your head up and put it back on your shoulders, because it's
Yes.
rolling all over the ground right now.
Yes.
We've got people out there that
Listen
are
to his
really
sarcasm
that
as she's
do
trying
need
to
health
explain
care.
this to him.
Oh, my
And when
goodness.
people like you
Yes.
turn around and
Mhm.
subject people to this kind of rhetoric that
Oh, my
don't
goodness.
have insurance because they
Wait.
can't afford it and they've been laid off,
I know.
where do they get it?
Where do they get it?
Your
He should
family,
just be
let me tell you
popped in the
something, Glenn.
face. Someone needs to
Obviously,
knock him in the
nobody your
face.
family has had an illness that they couldn't
No, my
get
family
treated
has
for.
never, ever had an illness. You're right. And anybody, you know what, Kathy, you
I
are
didn't
so
say
right.
never
No.
had an illness. I
That they
said
couldn't pay
never
for it? Let me just tell you something. You are right. I read in the story all the time about the people who are dying on the streets because they can't go to a hospital and get health care. You're exactly right. We are letting people die left and right in this country.
Can't afford anymore.
Oh, we can't afford anymore. So
They
you must,
can't
of course,
afford it.
be.
They're going broke.
Oh, they
They're
can't
closing
afford
their doors.
it. Right,
And a
you're
lot
right,
of
and that's
hospitals
why
do
the
not treat
country
people
can
without
afford it. The country can afford it. Don't worry about that going broke. Don't worry about
We're
that.
an industrial country in this world
country's already
that
built.
doesn't have health care. What the hell is
And
wrong
we
with
are
you?
the only country in the world where leaders come from every other country to get health care when they can't get the right kind of health care in their own country. We have presidents, we have prime ministers, we have speakers of the parliament in Australia that can't get the prostate treatment
Okay,
and have to
losing
come
it.
to this country to get it. So you're right. We should adapt all of those things. And Canada has a great health care. That's why people are suing. That's why in Canada they have a lottery. They have a lottery system. Who gets to go see a doctor
That's
this
not
month
quite
in
true.
Canada? Go ahead.
How about the Netherlands, Glenn?
How about the Netherlands?
Yeah, how about France and Italy, where you just go in and sign a paper?
You're
That's
right.
And
right.
the doctors
You
don't
are
have to
so-
fight with the insurance companies.
Tell me, Kathy, about the insurance program that they do have in France. Tell me about it.
There are people that go over there, and they are on vacation. If they have a problem, all they have to do is walk into the clinics or the
It's not the
hospitals
insurance
and
program,
sign
but
their
she
name.
is right.
The doctors do not have to be bothered signing insurance forms.
So in other
or
words,
dealing with
a person.
100,000
Hang on, I want to make sure I understand. So a non-citizen
God.
can go over to a hospital and walk in and get emergency treatment. That never happens here.
I'm asking you a logical question.
I'm giving you a logical answer.
You don't have logic.
That's right.
You're right.
Where's your logic? What would you do? I'm asking you, what would you do to change this healthcare system for the better? After all, every time you
Oh, don't question a Republican. Don't question him. No.
$1 dollars to bail out the banks and all the credit card companies.
Kathy, get off my phone!
Oh, you did it.
Get off my phone, you little pinhead!
Oh, Kathy.
I don't care. You people don't care about the trillions. Get off my phone!
Can we play that? Can we play that one more? Just the last part. One more time. One more time. Do it again. I just. Oh my God. Oh.
Get off my phone, you little pinhead!
I have never. Oh, I have. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, stop. Stop. No more. I can't. I have to finish this. He just, as soon as poor Kathy, who was just trying to get an answer, as soon as she asked him, Glenn, what would you do to improve our healthcare system? See, all Glenn can do is sit there and bitch about what the Democrats are trying to do so we can better our country, so we can better the health of our citizens. The Democrats are at least trying to initiate something. We had, the past 8 years of the Bush administration who didn't give a crap about us. So now Democrats are in the majority, and we have, Obama as president. They're trying to implement something to better the well-being of the citizens in this country. And Glenn, all he can do is sit there and bitch about, the way the Republicans are trying to do this and all the negative things about this in his mind you. And so poor Kathy calls in and she says, all right, Glenn, all right, buddy, fine, okay, what would you do? What can you do, Mr. Radio Show host that has all the answers? What would you do to better our healthcare system? And he lost it. I mean, he started, get off my phone, all demonic and exorcist, do. And then I don't know if his producer, I don't know if someone went and kicked him in the balls, but it was just this high pitch. Now you see, if Glenn Beck and his family, if they had this nationalized health insurance and they actually had health coverage, then Glenn would be able to go and check himself into the crazy house, because this has just done it for me. For real. After hearing this clip, I no doubt in my mind this man has some issues. If you go and find the actual video footage, because he has a webcam in his studio, he's sitting there drinking a beer while he's doing his show. This man has some problems. I know with me, with the amount of paperwork and documents that I have to have at my disposal in order to make sure that I am giving accurate information on the show, the last thing that I could do is be even slightly intoxicated, because you're sitting on this show and people are listening to you and looking to you for answers and for correct information, and it is my responsibility, as I feel it is every radio show host's responsibility to give accurate information. Granted, I have my opinion too, but I make it very clear that it's my own personal opinion. But whenever I give facts, I guarantee you they are accurate. It's accurate information. I could never be drunk. I could never sit here and drink a beer while I do the show. There's no way. Believe me, I'd like to after some of these calls. I would love to sit here and drink a beer, but, I can't. This show would just go to hell if I did. Believe me, it would turn into Glenn Beck Hour. Yeah. This is a prime example of what happens with Republicans when you question their philosophies. And Republicans say, oh, well, no nationalized health care because we don't want a doctor lottery and we don't want our taxes to go up and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. What they fail to realize is under the Obama administration, he specifically said, unless you make, as an individual, this is not family income, this is individual income, unless you make $200,000 a year or more, your taxes are not going to go up. You will not be affected by any new programs or tax hikes under the Obama administration. You're exempt. You're pretty much just exempt from any increases in taxes if you make under $200,000 a year as an individual. So when you have these people that are sitting there saying, no universal health care, I don't want my taxes to go up, your taxes are going to go up, everyone's taxes are going to go no. Glenn Beck, your taxes are going to go up, as they should. How much money do you make a year, Mr. Glenn Beck? Your taxes should go up. It is this country that is giving you the freedom and the opportunity to sit there behind your desk in your studio to do your TV show, and to sit there behind your microphone and spew the garbage that you spew on a daily basis. It is the United States of America that has given you that freedom and that opportunity to do so. It is your contribution to this country to fork out a little more in taxes. How much money do you make, Mr. Glenn Beck? I don't want to hear a word about taxes going up coming out of your mouth, as they should. You can afford it. Pay it. If you're making over $200,000 a year, you can afford to pay more in taxes. See, when you have the Republicans in office, like you did for the past 8 years with the Bush administration, you see what happened to this country. No one can tell me that this country is better off now as compared to 8 years ago whenever Bush first got into office. And if you can, call me right now, 602-449-9500. Call me right now and tell me, I want facts, I want statistics. Tell me how we're better off now as opposed to 8 years ago whenever this dumbass of a man was elected into office. The entire administration across the board is just utter stupidity. Anyone, I dare you, call me and give me facts and show me how we're better off now as we were 8 years ago. We're not, because Republicans favor, and this is how Republicans work as opposed to Democrats. Republicans want two class levels. They want the very, very poor and the very, very rich. Proof of this is the Bush administration, if you made a large amount of money as an individual or family, you received these special exclusive tax breaks. You paid less in taxes if you made more money. If you're a mega corporation, you qualify for pages and pages of tax breaks. But you see, the common sense to me says if you make a large amount of money as an individual or family, then you can afford to pay more in taxes. What the hell are you doing getting tax breaks? If you're a mega corporation like these oil companies who are making $7.9 billion pure profit in 3 months, if you're a mega corporation like these oil companies, well, what the hell are you doing getting a tax break when me and everyone else in this country is having to pay $4 freaking a gallon for gas? What the hell is Exxon doing reaping the benefits of these tax breaks? But see, this is how Republicans work. This is how they function. This is how they survive and thrive, is by separating. It's conquer and divide. Conquer and divide. Break down, destroy the middle class, make the very weak and the very strong. That's it. That is how Republicans in today's day and age function, think, and operate, as we have been able to see prime example over the past 8 years. We're now in a recession, thanks to the Bush administration. Now, you look at Democrats, and Democrats believe in a strong middle-class majority, which is why if you're a middle-class citizen in this country, you're not going to be affected in a negative way. Your taxes are not going to go up if you are middle class, which I guarantee you 95% of the people listening to this show are. If you're middle class, you're fine. You're protected under the Bush administration. The Bush administration recognizes that if you make over $200,000 a year, you're going to be taxed more because you can afford to pay it. If you're a mega corporation like Exxon, you know what? Until you bring the jobs back to this country, you're not getting those tax breaks you were receiving under the Bush administration. When you decide that you want to bring your jobs back to America, then I'll give you the tax breaks. This is what Obama says. Obama says, if you're a mega corporation and you want tax breaks, get your asses back here in this country, you create jobs here in America, and then you can get some tax breaks. As long as you're operating overseas, don't ask for anything. See, this just makes sense to me. If you look at Democrats, they have reasoning and structure behind the way that we think. Prime example, Glenn Beck is one of the most popular radio show, television show hosts that we have in today's times. And look at what happens to this guy when poor Kathy calls in to just ask him what he would do as far as healthcare is concerned. And then she criticized the Bush administration for starting this whole bailout stimulus process, and he lost it. Republicans can't take the heat. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. That is how they function. Oh, I don't know. It was just, yeah, you gotta go to YouTube, find this video. For real, you gotta see the video, because he is like standing up, pounding his fist into his computer screen or his desk, whatever he's doing, but he needs some help. He needs some good universal health care, and he needs to go check himself into the crazy house, because he's lost it. This guy is completely insane, Mr. Glenn Beck. He is just, wow. I have my dad waiting to have a little segment with me. We got to go to break right now. We have 4 seconds. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Air America Radio.
Josh Fourrier, kicking Republican ass one day at a time. You're listening to the Josh Fourrier Show on the Valley's Progressive Talk, 1480 KPHS.
Say thanks for making Subway footlongs famous. Get any piled high regular footlong for just $5. $5 footlongs. Hurry, a celebration this great won't last long.
Air America Radio.
We're here in Camp Verde at Cliff Castle Casino, voted Arizona's #1 casino for 8 consecutive years. Let's go in and...
You can even get a hug if you want it. It's the best offer I've had today.
Well, yeah, I got all those blackjacks.
There you have it. Cliff Castle Casino is #1 for a lot of good reasons. Come see for yourself.
It's the promotion.
Josh Fourrier. The Josh Fourrier Show.
Let's talk vampires. The country is full of vampires. The country is full of vampires.
We are the only country in the world today where
The vampires
come from every other country to
suck the blood out of the
prostate.
to suck the blood out of the
Prostate. I don't care. You don't care. I don't care. You don't. Get off my phone. Get off my phone. Get off my phone. Get off my phone. I'm gonna lose my mind today.
Ha 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 ha! Bravo! Wonderful, very well done. Well done. That was great. I need to make a correction. Before we went to break, I misspoke. I said the Bush administration protects the middle class for those making $200,000 a year or less. And what I meant to say, of course, is the Obama administration. So I apologize for that mix-up. On the line right now is my very own dad, the one and only Michael Fourrier. Dad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Josh. It's a pleasure you having me on.
Well, of course. I don't know if you've listened to the show before or, since you're in Texas, but you listened a little bit today. I thought about maybe making an agenda for our conversation today, but I'd really like to have an open conversation where we can talk about whatever you want. So what would you like to talk about?
Well, let me comment on the conversation with Jay earlier about marriage and homosexuality, heterosexuality.
Okay, before you do that, in case you just tuned in, Jay had called into the show and objected against homosexual marriage. He was against it, not so much for religious reasons, but his reasons were based on procreation and social reasons. He didn't think it was a violation of civil rights, and marriage should not be extended to homosexual couples. Of course, I absolutely disagreed with him. So now that we're all up to speed, go ahead.
Well, I agree with you also. I don't agree with Jay either. But let me say before we get started, I am very, very proud of you and your accomplishments, especially at such a young age. And, I don't know what to say, man. I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm flattered.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm flattered. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Let me say that my take on homosexuality and marriage and all that is, okay, stop for a minute. In order, for you and for society to look at an individual and say, oh, you're a man, you have to marry a woman, or you can only fall in love with a woman. You're a woman and you have to marry a man. If you get married, you can only fall in love with a man because you're a woman. That is society imposing their norms and values on you. Now, as an individual, I'm all about freedom. I'm all about privacy. And I resent very much anybody telling me what I can and what I cannot do.
It's a violation.
I'm sorry?
It's a violation of your rights as a human being in a supposed free nation.
Well, yeah, you're telling me what I can do and what I can't do. And I don't agree with that. And you know me being as high-spirited as I am and opinionated, that nobody's going to tell me what if I want to. If I was gay and I wanted to fall in love with a man, or I did fall in love with a man, that's nobody's business but mine and that individual. I'm not affecting anyone else. I'm not disrupting somebody else's life. I have broken no law.
Right.
And if I'm a woman and I want to fall in love with, or I do fall in love with another woman, That's nobody else's business. That is personal, and nobody has a right to tell you what your sexual orientation ought to be.
Right. Well, a lot of this, and, you know, whether Jay wanted to admit it or not, is coming from the influence of religion. Religious perspectives have influenced the way we all look at homosexuality. We can turn on the National Geographic Channel and see plain as day homosexuality within different species. This is obviously a natural thing that happens in nature. It's not just within human beings, but within other species in nature. Which is why this is not an immoral act, you know. And until science is developed and it tells us why there are human beings and animals that are homosexual, until there's enough science out there for anybody to have an opinion and say it's immoral is just ridiculous to me and highly offensive. I mean, if marriage is solely intended to be something under God, then the government needs to stay completely out of it. You know, like I said before, in order to be legally married or divorced, you have to involve yourself in the government in the legal system. Now, when that happens, you get benefits. You get tax benefits and rights involving this other person you're choosing to spend your life with under the government. And if this is a religious thing, then my question and confusion really lies in why is the government interjecting itself into what's supposed to be strictly a religious ceremony, you know, a religious celebration and bond of two people that want to spend their lives together. I think it's very clear that marriage is more than that. Marriage is more than getting married under God. Marriage is it's something established by two people that want to have that type of bond and lifelong commitment, you know, where they can get all the benefits that two people spending their lives together should be able to get, like health insurance benefits, so that they can get into a hospital room in ICU when their partner is dying. This is something much deeper than religion, and for this to go into the political realm with these religious groups, that's why Prop 8, this whole, you know, banning gay marriage, that's why this whole thing passed. Because when you have these religious groups that get out there and confuse people and twist the message, that's where the problem is. People were so confused on which way to vote on Prop 8 is because of the lies by these religious groups. It's
okay. Well, you know, I respect that and appreciate that, and I think that government and religion should stay out of people's private lives.
Right.
It's none of their business, and that is a personal matter. Period.
Right.
Okay. Now, I have another take on all that. Is why do you get tax breaks when you're married as opposed to being single or divorced? Is life cheaper for you if you're single or married rather? You know, when you go to the grocery store, do you buy a loaf of bread for a discount? You know, when you're married, no.
It's more expensive. Now you have to pay, you know, the mortgage payment by yourself.
That's exactly right. And it's like you're the only one paddling the boat up the river, whereas if you're married, you know, you have your partner paddling the boat on the other side, and you're paddling on your side.
Exactly.
Tax breaks should go to people that are single, not married.
Well, I think the whole tax system should be restructured from the ground up. I mean, it should be very cut and dry. They should look at the amount of money you make per year and tax you proportion to your income. There's those celebrities and people out there that make millions of dollars and have to pay close to 47% of their income. And that, too, is outrageous to me. Personally, the entire tax system across the board should be proportioned to what you make per year. It's your individual or family contribution as a citizen in this country, and you can only contribute proportion to the amount of income that you're making.
Well, I agree, Josh. I think that, you know, you should be taxed on your gross amount. And I think, first of all, that the taxes that we're paying now is just absolutely outrageous. And if the Obama administration is going to raise taxes, it's even worse. Now, about marriage, let me throw a revolutionary idea at you, and that is, well, why not abolish marriage altogether? So there is no such thing as marriage anymore, and if you have a domestic partner, that's fine. You know, you don't pay any more or any less taxes if you have a domestic partner as opposed to if you're single.
Well, you know, I think eventually that will happen. I just think the idea is well before its time that it would even be considered.
I mean, stop and think. If you want to get married, you go to, a ordained priest or a minister or the justice of the peace. But if you want to get a divorce, you have to go hire a freaking lawyer. And next thing you know, nobody wins in a divorce but the lawyer.
Right.
Okay? The blood-sucking lawyers are the ones that walk away with a big grin on their face, and your divorced partner or ex-partner, his attorney and your attorney, they're out on the golf course playing golf, drinking beer, slapping each other on the back, telling jokes. You know, and it's like it's a money thing.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
It's crazy. It's insane. So hey, let's fix all that and just abolish marriage altogether.
Well, when you have the whole religious aspect that comes into it, and there are many people that practice Christianity and believe that it is a sin to have sex outside of marriage. We have 5 seconds left. I need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk more, okay? Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show, ranked in Arizona as the Valley's #1 progressive talk show, and Man of the Year as listed in Talkers Magazine. You're listening to The Josh Fourrier Show, and that just makes you look good. 1480 KPHX.
Josh Fourrier. The Josh Fourrier Show.
All right, we're back now and paid for. If you have just joined us, my dad is on the line with me right now. We're having the discussion of marriage and where it should go, if it should go anywhere in the future. I do have to say, though, that before we continue, I have to say I'm very proud of what you had to say about gay marriage. I'm sure there are many parents of gay children and many gay people themselves who are listening to this show, and I'm sure they are also very proud of what you had to say as a father, which compared to a mother is generally less accepting of a gay child. So as a father, I think it's a very noble thing that you said, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Well, you're quite welcome, Josh.
Okay, so go ahead. We left off on marriage and where the religious aspect comes into marriage and why people should be opposed, or why people would be opposed to abolishing marriage. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, let me go back to one other thing about the gay issue, and that is, when I was growing up in your age, they did not have the scientific research that they do now. And especially in, the genetic and gene makeup and all. And now, as time goes on, the medical techniques and all are a lot more sophisticated than they were when I was your age. And, from what I understand, they have identified what they call a gay gene that you are born with, and it's genetic. And
right.
So, forgive me, but I haven't been able to do the in-depth research on that I would like to do, and I plan to do in the future. But I'm very interested in that, and they're discovering new things every day with the advent of computers and the technology and the different ways of, researching things in the laboratories. I mean, it's just amazing what they can do nowadays, whereas back when I was your age, that wasn't even thought of.
Right.
So, there's more to it than just, a religious aspect. But, getting back to religion the politics and all this kind of stuff. I think a person's private life is very, very important, and it should be respected no matter what.
Right.
A person's privacy that's their privacy.
Right.
You do not violate that no matter what. I don't care if you're the paparazzi. I don't care if you're a movie star or a famous, very powerful politician. A person's private life is out of bounds. Every keystroke that you make on that computer, I do not trust our government, whether it's Clinton, Bush, Obama. I do not trust our government whatsoever. I love my country dearly, but I do not trust my government. And you cannot, how can you be ensured that you have privacy when everything is scrutinized and every freaking keystroke you make, somebody is looking at it and somebody's watching it. I don't like that.
Well, no, I don't either, and I completely agree with you. To ensure yourself that you have privacy, it's important that you read the terms and conditions as well as the privacy notice of your email provider, and then only to trust in them that they're abiding by the agreement. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have faith in my email provider that they're actually keeping my information private. Especially whenever Bush comes out publicly and says, we have to do, in the name of the war on terror, we have to do whatever it takes to keep this country safe. Now, I think that's a bunch of crap. I mean, you don't have to look at my email or listen to my phone calls to make sure that the country is safe. I'm by far not a threat.
Well, when your government's spying on you without justification, and who's to define justification? What's justified and what's not,
Well, that's another thing that Bush did. He said, for any reason, if he sees you as a threat, they can detain you as long as they want without a trial. They will make you disappear. That was a big issue in 2006 on the other radio show I did. The problem is, though, if George Bush thought Michael Fourrier was a threat, then he would make you disappear and you wouldn't have any rights. You wouldn't get a trial, nothing. Even these people who were accused in participating in 9/11, they should still be put on trial and found guilty because our justice system works. I mean, Bush came out and admitted that this was going on. Cheney came out and admitted that the whole waterboarding thing works and torture is effective and okay. But where are the consequences for these people in the Bush administration? Why is this country not in an uproar over the laws that were broken with people in the Bush administration? And there's an invasion of privacy, torture is going on. I mean, why aren't people angry?
Well, okay, we can get off into that and talk about that in detail, but what I'm saying is an American citizen's, a person's privacy should be respected utmost, no matter what, period, okay? Mm-hmm. And, you mentioned that Clinton did it, Bush did it, Obama's going to do it if he's not doing it already, and he is.
Right.
And come on.
Right.
I don't trust my government. And also, I have Russian friends, and when they were growing up, they were, told by their government, oh, the Americans are the big threat. They're the ones that are going to blow us up and take us over and all this, and I'm going what? We were told the same thing, but about y'all. It's like, well, the Russian people don't trust their government either.
Yeah, our media, the major news networks are very misleading and biased. Fox News, a major right-wing channel who says that they're fair and balanced. MSNBC, major left-wing who says that, it's the place for politics. At least on this network, we're open about who we are. We're a progressive network. My show is for entertainment, and I encourage everyone who listens to my show to go out and do their own research. Just like what I told Jay, this applied to anything. I mean, you can't get accurate beliefs and thoughts on false information.
Well, I think Jay was basing his argument off his personal convictions and beliefs based on religion and so forth and so on, but this privacy issue is a real big thing with me. Now, I watch Fox, I watch CNN, I watch Headline News, and some of the other news channels, but you know, it seems to me that the press corps has been giving Obama just a pass. You know, I remember when Richard Nixon was president, and the press was all over him like crazy. I mean, they dogged that poor man like...
See, I totally disagree with you, though. I mean, how is Obama getting a free pass?
Well, because they don't ask the tough questions, and they let him slide on basically everything.
Well, from what I observed from Obama, they accused him of palling around with terrorists, involving himself in the corruption of Acorn. Now they're accusing and spinning what he said about that police officer, he called the police officer stupid in the whole Gates situation. I can't agree that they're giving him a pass. I think during the whole campaign era, Palin was more in focus on her issues because she was such an overwhelming moron every time she opened her mouth. With Obama, I remember a lot of criticism during the campaign, and even now with this whole the whole Gates thing, saying Obama called the officer stupid, which is not what he said. He said the officer acted stupidly, and there's a big difference between the two.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but Obama should have never commented on that because, first of all, Obama wasn't there. He didn't know what was going on. All he knows is secondhand information. So you don't ever comment on anything that you don't have a absolute personal involvement with. If you weren't there, you don't know what went on.
Well, you know, on Friday when they had that press conference, the press secretary was supposed to be holding the press conference without any announcement, notice, nothing. Instead, it was Obama who came to speak and make comments on this, on the whole Gates issue. Obama did say that these were two upstanding gentlemen who overreacted, and in fact, they joked around about having a beer in the White House later. So Obama did come out, and he did involve himself, which is something that Bush never would have done. He also said he didn't agree with Gates being arrested on his own property, that he didn't break the law. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you're allowed to yell and scream on your own property. It's your right. You know, it's freedom of speech. Gates had a cane. This guy was not a threat. This guy was not breaking into a house. People that break into homes are not stupid, you know. They'll run. They won't sit there and talk to you. So Obama did come out and say, hey, I didn't call the guy stupid. They're both good people, just a bad situation. I don't think the officer should have arrested him. So basically he just cleared the air, which is very rare, you know. I mean, I think we're just so used to 8 years of a president not involving himself in our country. Hell, Katrina came and went, and where was Bush? You know, instead he says, oh, good job, Brownie, heck of a job, Brownie. And now we have a president who is actually involving himself in the big and little things going on in our nation. And I just think that we're, you know, so used to the past 8 years of the opposite that this is the kind of thing taking people by surprise, that our president is getting involved in these issues.
Okay, well, I'm not going to argue with you about it. I read the police report, too, and, you know, according to the police report written by the arresting officer, Gates did not comply with the request of the officers.
Well, but that's not accurate. I have the police report right here, and the officer said, I told Gates I was leaving his residence, and if he had any other questions regarding the matter, I would speak to him outside of the residence. So Gates followed him onto the porch outside, which is where he was arrested, and was telling the officer that he wanted his name and badge number. You know, they were outside when Gates was arrested. The officer told him to quiet down as he was making a scene in his front yard. I mean, I'm allowed to make a scene in my front yard. It's my property.
Well, she told him to do that too, you know, but at the same time, you know, I think Gates has a chip on his shoulder because he made some racist comments, and I think that the man's in the wrong. I mean, when the police officer shows up on the scene, he doesn't know who this guy is. And first of all, you know, you said people that break into houses aren't dumb. Josh, I disagree again.
Well, the act is dumb, but they run whenever the police come, you know. They're smart. They're not going to sit there and wait for the police to come and arrest them.
Now, Josh, you can have some very clever criminals, but, you know, to be a criminal, time out, man. You're stupid.
I agree.
You know, and a violation of the law, you're an idiot, man.
Right. Well, comply with what, though? Comply with what? I mean, he came out onto his front yard and asked the officer for his name and badge number. Of course, Gates was upset. He was screaming at the officer. The officer told him to calm down. Gates was not a physical threat. The man had a cane. He obviously wasn't a physical threat. He was using his voice, and he didn't calm down. The officer warned him again to calm down. The third time, the officer told him to calm down and then said, "I'm placing you under arrest." Well, for what?
Josh, first of all, you have to understand the premise that the police officer did not know who this man was.
He knew who he was by the time they were outside on his front lawn because he showed his Harvard ID. In fact, the Harvard law enforcement came over to secure the home before Gates and the officer left the property.
Okay, well, I wasn't there, Josh. I'm not going to continue to debate this. I wasn't there. I didn't see it for myself, but I can understand where the officer was coming from. And let me just share a little tidbit of information with you. When I was going to Southwest Texas State University, one of my friends was majoring in criminal justice. And one thing he told me, my buddy, was, look, if a police officer gives you an order, you follow it, no matter what. And if you're arrested, you comply, you do not resist, no matter what. And 9 times out of 10, the lawyer's going to get you off anyhow. Okay? So if a policeman says, come out on the porch, you go out on the porch.
Well, according to the police report, it didn't happen like that at all. And please don't get me wrong. Police officers should be honored and respected. They risk their lives for us every day to keep us safe. The point of this situation is that officers need to be in charge and handle situations properly. They should not cross the line and abuse power like this officer did. And what I mean by that is that Gates never should have been arrested. He did not do anything wrong.
Well, like I said, Josh, I wasn't there, and...
Well, I wasn't either, but I read the police report, which was extremely detailed, and these were the officer's words. These were not the words of Mr. Gates.
Well, I disagree. I think the police officer acted appropriately and followed procedure to the T.
But he was arrested for disorderly conduct, and how is there disorderly conduct on his own front lawn using his voice?
Well, Josh, like I said, I wasn't there, and we can argue this till the cows come home. Let me say this. Let me say this about the police officers, and that is an absolute thankless job. Everybody talks trash about you until they need you. Okay. And when they call you and say, "Oh my God, where's the police?" It's like, oh, it takes them forever to get here. They need to put the donuts and coffee down and leave the donut shop and get here. But when they show up on the scene and you're the one that called them, thank God the police are here. Oh my God.
You're absolutely right. You are 100% correct on that.
There are very serious situations that occur out there every day, and people call the police. They call 911, and thank God when a police officer shows up.
Yeah.
You never hear about that. You never hear about how thankful the people are when the police show up.
Well, I think you hear about the good things on local news and the bad things on national news, and I think it should be the other way around.
Well, I agree. I think it should be too. I think they get bum rap more times than they get recognized for doing a good job.
I have to take a short break. Then when we come back, we have 5 minutes left, and I'd like to talk to you some more if you have time.
Okay, well, I'll be here.
Josh Fourrier, kicking Republican ass one day at a time. You're listening to the Josh Fourrier Show on the Valley's Progressive Talk, 1480 KPHX.
Welcome back. A major issue that will be affecting us all very soon is health care. We've had calls on this before. What are your views on what you think should happen with health care?
Well, Josh, first of all, I would like to say that the health care system is a big mess. Everything is so expensive, and I don't make, $200,000 more, which I did, but I don't, so here I am. In the meantime, what really bothers me about the Obama administration and the Democrats that are in office now is that they want to hurry up and rush all this through and vote on it, you know, and it's like, wait a minute. This is, you know, these bills are huge documents, and you cannot just glance over this stuff and vote on it and, you know, rush all this through with little or no debate and go, you know, in both houses of Congress and vote on it. And it's like, oh, okay, it's law now. I mean, you got both. The Democrats are in control of the House, in control of the Senate, and they got a man in the White House with a pen that says dripping with ink ready to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
That really scares me. That really bothers me.
I am thrilled. I am thrilled about it.
It's complicated. It is too complicated to rush this through by August or into August and sign it into law. No, this takes at least 6 months to review and debate every sentence in that document, Josh.
Well, I'm sure it'll take at least 6 months. You know, the reason why the process is slowed down is because the Democrats are actually listening to the Republican minority and trying to form a bipartisan plan for America. I have never heard of Republicans stopping what they're doing to listen to Democrats and, you know, to actually take them seriously. I think this is, you know, a good thing that the Democrats are working with the Republicans to try and get something bipartisan. I don't think this will end up being what we hope it will be. I think it'll be a step in the right direction, but not what we thought as far as health coverage. I mean, it's sad that a nation which is supposed to be as industrialized as ours, it's just sad that, you know, this is such a health-for-profit type nation.
Well, yeah, Josh, but nobody's going to do anything without making money off of it. I don't have a problem with people making a handsome or decent living, but, you know, they're making a freaking killing off of it. But see, one of the other big problems, this is a multi-faceted problem here with the health care. When you got illegals here in this country that are going down to the hospital and getting free medical attention, you know who's paying for all that? The people that are working their butts off, okay? The men and women of this country that are working every day until they drop sick and dead, and you have illegals flooding into this country taking full advantage of the medical facilities and services, and they're not paying a freaking dime. Josh, that is not fair, and it should not be allowed.
Well, of course it isn't. This is a much larger issue than just illegals. If I were to go to the hospital and rack up a $50,000 bill and the hospital not get payment, of course it would go into collections. But in the meantime, what ends up happening is health insurance premiums will go up for others, and the cost of medical services in general will go up. I mean, we're in the middle of a recession, and while prices are going down, medical costs are going up.
And that's right. And so as a result, things just get worse and worse, okay?
Mm-hmm. Well, why should anyone's credit be ruined because they can't pay their medical bills, though?
Well, I mean, the thing is you're gonna be looking at a $50,000 hospital bill, and how are you gonna pay it? Well, you're gonna be paying on that bill for the rest of your life. Well, you know, when these illegals come in and they get free medical attention and they turn around and walk scot-free, that's BS, man.
That's like Glenn Beck, how he was talking about these prime ministers and these world leaders coming to our country, taking advantage of our medical services. Well, honestly, I don't care about world leaders coming to our country. Of course they're coming here. They have money. They have more money than God. They can afford it. I care about people like you and me and, you know, the middle class. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have. They're about to cut us off.
Josh, I love you and I miss you.
Well, I love you very much, too. I look forward to having you back on here again. I really enjoyed it. I'll give you a call in a minute right after I'm done here. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. They're going to cut me off right now. I'm sorry I don't get to wrap up, but we will see you next week.
Josh Fourrier.